everyone, it's the Tides Changing here, and welcome to part 4 of Let's Furnish Berrywine Acres. So in this part, I will be finishing off the rest of the main level, as well as the smaller lower level, but before I get started with that, I was just taking care of some of the things that you guys suggested I should change back in part 2. That being making the floor in the foyer a little bit darker, since the lighter wood didn't really look quite that good, so I was just changing it there and also trying to change the color of the molding and paneling to match with it a little bit better. Just because I felt like it didn't really go with it as well, like it was kind of a different type of wood, if that makes any sense, like I guess it's a little bit too reddish. And I also changed the colors in the guest bedroom to be a little bit more gender neutral because one of you did point out in the comments that I should probably try to make it more gender neutral since it did turn out a little bit feminine, which is kind of bad considering in the part I was like, oh, I want to be gender neutral, and then I just go and make it pink, so I kind of really contradicted myself there, so I fixed that. And I also raised up the picture above the bookshelf that was a little bit behind it, so, you know, I just took care of a few of those things, and the reason why I was taking care of things you guys suggested in part 2 and part 4 rather than part 3 is that I've actually been pre-recording a lot lately, and that's because I'm actually going on vacation next week. And I want to have videos for you guys while I'm gone. You know, it's not that I feel like, oh, I have to have videos. It's that I really want to have something for you guys when I'm gone. So I've just been planning ahead, making videos way ahead of time, you know, a lot more so than I usually would just to make that happen. Because I still am finishing up my internship, you know, and I work full-time at that. So I just have to balance that and try and do more on the weekend, which means, you know, making like 3 videos or more in one weekend. Last weekend, or I guess the weekend before this last one, I actually made like 5 videos in one weekend. I made 3 Let's Plays and 2 Let's Builds, and then this past weekend I made, you know, 2 or 3 videos. So I've just been doing a lot at once lately. But I'm really excited to go on vacation. I'm actually going to be going to a lake with some friends for a week, which will be really nice, and you know, I'm really looking forward to a break since this past semester was just kind of crazy and stressful, and after finals week, the week after finals week, I actually went right into working full-time, so I didn't really get that much of a break, so, you know, I'm really looking forward to just having a week to relax. And also, some good news is that this week is actually the last week of my internship, and after I get back from vacation, I have 2 full weeks before I start school, so I'll just not really be doing a whole lot those 2 weeks, so I plan on uploading a lot more videos, you know, tying everything, you know, tying all the loose ends with The Sims 3. Although, I do think I will be continuing my Generations Let's Play when The Sims 4 comes out. It'll probably be on part 30 something. I don't know how far exactly it'll be when The Sims 4 comes out. But probably somewhere in the 30s, and I don't want to end it at that, so, you know, I'll probably continue it till it's actually done, so I'm not sure how long it's going to be going on, but it'll be going on for a while since I actually want that Let's Play to get up to part 50 or 60, and now that everything's working well with it, I'm really into it, you know, I really want to keep it going, because before I was just frustrated, you know, wanting to end it because of all the crashing, but fortunately that's resolved. But now that I've rambled on about that stuff for the first couple minutes, I'm gonna get into what I'm doing here with the living room. So for this living room, I used a lot of the supernatural furniture, just because I really wanted this gothic, kind of gothic, I guess, not really like gothic in the sense of, you know, dark colors and all that, but I guess gothic is in like style, I don't know. But I really wanted just very old-fashioned looking furniture, so you've kind of got this sofa here with more of a floral pattern on it, and I went back and forth with trying to choose the pattern a lot. You know, I wanted a reddish color because I want there to be very warm colors in this room. You know, as with the rest of the house, I just want lots of woods, lots of very rich, warm colors. So I went with a reddish-orange color sofa and a yellow wicker sofa, and right now I'm just playing around with the color of the rug. I was originally trying to do a green color as you see here, but that doesn't really quite go all the way, but right now I'm just working on placing some chairs in the room because I wanted one there in that corner and also one next to the sofa, so I placed a rocking chair in the corner since I felt like a rocking, you know, a corner would be a good place for a rocking chair, and I also used the fireplace there that came with the old mill set. I just really love how it looks. It has a really beautiful antique look and just adds a nice, very rich historic look to the room. And as you can see there next to the sofa, I placed a wicker chair that matched the other wicker sofa, and right here I'm putting in a coffee table. I was trying to go with an older look for it, so I think that was a store one. I do end up changing a little bit though, so that does go away. But that was a store set one, and right now I'm going back to changing the color of the rugs, because as I said, I didn't feel like the green quite matches well, so I was trying to figure out a warmer color, so I went with this light orange color, and I believe that was the final color that I went with, and here I'm just placing all the little decorations onto the coffee table, just because I like doing that, you know, to give it a nice lived-in touch. And as I said in the last part, there's not going to be a TV out here in the main area because, you know, the husband of the family is a technophobe, so I didn't want there to be a TV in the main room, so, you know, every time he's in there sitting, he's in a bad mood because he gets a negative moodlet, so I just felt like it was fitting to have the TV off separate, you know, its own little room, and then this is just really, you know, a gathering area where people can sit down and talk by the fire or read. You know, I think this would be a really good reading spot by the fire. And on the end table, I just put that little rose and the little horse decoration, which, that's an interesting piece. I don't use that often, but I don't know, it's an interesting little piece. And there I put some fireplace tools. Those are the supernatural ones. Usually I use the base game ones, but as I said, I'm using a little bit more supernatural items in this room, so I went with that one instead. And it's got a little bit of an older look, I guess, maybe. And I put a little plant in there just because I felt like there should be something in between the rocking chair and the fireplace. So I originally went with that, you know, plant on a stand, but then I felt like that was a little bit too busy, you know, like it was too large of a plant, so I ended up going with that little tree-looking one there. On that wall there, I put a painting up because I felt like there needed to be something on that wall. I like to have a lot of wall paintings in general. I probably said this before in previous videos, but I just like walls to look very full, and I put a smaller bookshelf there, you know, not a huge floor-to-ceiling one like I did in the study, but I just wanted a smaller bookshelf there because, like I said, I feel like this would be a really good reading area. So, you know, there of course had to be a bookshelf nearby because, you know, I didn't want them to have to go all the way into the study, you know, and I wanted there to be more bookshelves in this house than the one in the study because, you know, this isn't, I guess other than the teenage son, this whole family isn't really very technological, you know, they're not a huge fan of technology, so I can see them, you know, being more of a family who just likes to sit and read, you know, rather than watching TV or playing video games or that type of thing for fun. So yeah, lots of bookshelves, lots of more old-fashioned things in this house. And right now I'm just trying to put a rug in there right by the entrance of the pantry, just because I feel like, you know, the floor there is a little bit bare. I don't know, I'm weird, I don't like to have a lot of just bare wood around. But then, you know, you also have to be careful because you don't want to stick too many rugs to where it just looks ridiculous. Like, there's just rugs everywhere and they all look different, you know, and it's, you know, you gotta find balance. And I think that's kind of, for me, like, I feel the main thing when it comes to building, you know, whether it be landscaping or furnishing, you have to find balance between it looking like there's a lot of things in the room and, you know, it being too bare, if that makes any sense. And that's just something I kind of play around with a lot, where I'll try to put things in and then I realize, you know, maybe it looks like it's too cluttered, so I take it out, or that it looks too barren, so I put more in. I don't even know what I'm rambling on about, but right now I'm just working on placing a coffee table right there, and I placed that, or not coffee table, end table. And I did place that one with the doily from Generations, I believe, which just is a really nice antique look. But I remember that there was that coffee table with a doily on it from Generations, so I ended up replacing the one that was there with that one, which I think has a much nicer antique look, but then I realized it was a little bit too much to have both that end table and that coffee table, so I use this coffee table here from Supernatural, and I'm just kind of making the brown of it match, I guess, just kind of a lighter brown to go with the orange that's on the sofas, because it's a pretty close color to what's on the wicker sofa and chair. So I went with that one just so things weren't a little bit too busy. You know, it's a little bit smaller, so it fits in a little bit better there. And I used that lamp, which came from Supernatural as well. Like I said, lots of Supernatural furniture in this house, and I just placed two of those smaller paintings, which also came from Supernatural right there on the wall, just because I wanted something small there, and I did try putting lights there earlier, but it didn't look quite right. So right now I'm moving on to this hallway going into the study. And also I was changing the color of the curtains because they're just whatever color was in the study, I think. I just kind of stuck them in there as a placeholder, which I tend to do, you know. Sometimes I just put objects down and then later go back and change all the patterns to be what I want them to be. And I was originally going to stick a plant in there, but, you know, I feel like I didn't want there to be too many plants, so I just ended up putting an end table with a phone in it there, which I guess works right outside of the study. And I was trying to figure out what to do with all this empty space on this wall because I don't like a lot of empty space on walls. And I was playing around with putting some shelves there, but then I felt like it'd be kind of weird to just have shelves in a hallway, you know, like there wouldn't really be a whole lot of purpose for them. So I ended up just putting in this larger painting in there, which works pretty well. After placing the painting in there, I did end up putting a plant in the corner anyway, even though I was like, I feel like it's gonna be too many plants. I guess maybe originally I was planning on putting a plant in both corners, but I guess I decided just to have one in one corner. But now that hallway is done, so I'm moving on to the rest of the living area. I kind of took a detour from the main area and went to the hallway, and then now I'm going back to it. So I put one of the old-fashioned record players in there. I think I did say in the previous part that there is a smaller record player in the TV room. I think I said in the previous part that I was going to put a larger one in the main area. So I did do that, and then I put a mirror above it because, I don't know, I felt like it would be a good touch. And I also put a nice older-fashioned painting there and a little plant. And I was originally going to put this... I did put this CD stack right there next to it, but I took it away because, you know, it's a record player, so it doesn't play CDs, so that was just a little bit weird, and they're also a little bit too modern looking, and I ended up just putting a chair that matched the red sofa right there next to it, which I think works a little bit better, and then I played around with putting a rug in there as well, but I feel like something didn't look right about having the same color, you know, rug under the sofa, and then, you know, a slightly smaller version in front of the record player. I just didn't like something about that, so I did make a slightly darker red, so something a little bit different. Now I'm moving on to the wallpapers, and I just took the same paneling that was in the foyer because I wanted to use a lot of panelings in this house just because I feel like paneling looks a lot more old-fashioned than just using a fully painted wall. I feel like a fully painted wall is just a little bit more contemporary, something you see in newer houses. So I did change the wallpaper in the living room to be a similar orange color to what was in the foyer. I actually did change it a bit, so I took it from the foyer and placed it into the living room, made it green, then, you know, decided I didn't want green and ended up going to orange. And it ended up being pretty much the same orange color that was originally there. And you may miss it, but I did put a little small rug under the chair next to the record player, but I was playing around putting a piano in here because I did want to try putting a piano in the living room. But I had trouble figuring out where to put it in, so I was trying to mess around with putting it into that corner, but then I also wanted to keep the record player and the chair and all that. So I was just trying to figure out, you know, all that out, how to fit it, and I originally did put the piano in, you know, in between the seating area and the door from the foyer, which just looked weird because it was kind of blocking that area, and here I was messing around with putting in a smaller record player and having the chair, you know, there on the diagonal wall near the pantry, but that just looked really odd, you know, like you wouldn't want to sit in a chair right next to the pantry, so that was just a very odd spot for it. And I also didn't like how it looked, you know, when you looked from the hallway over into the living room area with that piano in there. So I decided just not to put a piano in there, you know, and I was trying to figure out things to fill in the rest of the space in the living room because, as I said earlier, you know, I don't like things to look too sparse, but I feel like having the piano in there just made it look too crowded and ridiculous. So I was kind of trying to figure out what to put into the living room to make it not look so bare. So I decided on just putting a rug right in front of the entrance from the foyer. So I originally had that larger one in there, but it's a little bit too large. So I went with the smaller one here and made it the same pattern as this rug that was in front of the pantry. And that's it for the living room furnishing, apart from that light there. So now I'm moving on to the lower area down here. I guess kind of the basement in a way. This lower area here is accessible from the spiral staircase that goes upstairs and also this outer door here. And I actually got the idea to do this by looking on Google, because when I made this house I didn't follow a floor plan, I just kind of went in and built, but to get inspiration for it I did Google farmhouse pictures, and one of the ones I saw just kind of had this lower area that looked a little bit, you know, run down, like there's some messy things going down into it, which was why, you know, I placed the oil barrel, because I got inspiration from that. You know, so I feel like it's a really interesting touch to have that, and this is actually the laundry room just because, you know, I didn't really know where else to put a laundry area. And since this is an older house, I figured it wouldn't have a nice modern laundry area, you know, it kind of have a dingy, musty smelling laundry area, so you got this really old washer and dryer set that probably is from like the 70s or 80s or something like that, you know, it's been there for a while, and the family doesn't really feel like changing it because, you know, it works. And then you also have those old-fashioned cabinets and countertops, and then I did put this white shelf above it because I figured, you know, maybe the shelf was put in later when they realized that they need a little bit more space to put all their laundry stuff. And I did also put in a utility sink. Is it a utility sink? God, I remember the name for it, but for some reason it's slipping by me right now, but I'll just call it a utility sink for the time being, and in a few minutes it'll probably come to me, but I don't know, maybe that's what it is, but just kind of the sink that, you know, you would wash dirty clothes in to get some of the dirt out before you stick it in the washer so you don't get all that nastiness in there. You know, the kind of sinks that are usually in basements or near the laundry areas that are just disgusting. And I did change out the one I had in there with the same one that was in the upstairs bathroom just because I wanted something a little bit more older-fashioned. And I also moved the clothing rack over and placed a hamper in there, and I wanted there to be a rug on the floor, you know, like I said, I wanted there to be something on the floor, but I wanted this rug to look old and worn out, so I used this paint pattern that looks like it has some markings on it. You know, I figured maybe it'd just be dirt or something, kind of grungy looking. But that's all for this part. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and bye!